This is a brief demonstration of how I am creating a couch with good topology. So cushions, generally they're going to have a lot of vertices and faces because we want to make it as realistic as possible. We want to make the cushions really look like they do have a lot of curves and abnormalities. So first I started off in Adobe Illustrator, just simply tracing a couch from Google, and I split it into pieces, and once we did that, we could take those vectors, and we put it inside Maya as a plane, just like this. And after we did that, I traced them using, again, inside Maya using the EV curves, and then we closed them off and effectively made separate little pieces inside Maya that we can then create planes from. These actually came out with really bad topology at the start, so we retopologized them to effectively make sure that there's no n-gons or anything like that. So everything is a quad, nice perfect symmetry, good topology on all these pieces. The base and the legs of the couch were already squared off, so we didn't actually have to create curves or anything for those. We just did a simple planar. But for these we had to start them off as NURBS and then convert them to polys. So that's the basic process so far of getting this 2D couch out, and now we're going to use a soft bump and effectively round them out with the quads to effectively make a cushion shape. Then we're going to extrude the fronts to actually give them a bit of depth, because obviously right now it is just a 2D couch. Finished up doing extruding on the couch, so we actually sort of now have this almost couch looking shape, and now we get to bump all the vertexes and actually make it look like it's rounded. It's a little bit more like a couch and natural. Remove the sharp edges on these cushions. I left the back cushions thinner because they're going to be flipped and have the bumps flipped, so we don't really need much thickness on the back cushions, because again that is effectively just going to be a bit of a bump on both sides, and then we're going to mirror it. The back, I'm going to do a little bit more work here. I'm not quite happy with how this has turned out. I don't know why I decided to go with this angled back. I mean, it looks okay, but again, this is going to be the hard polygons. This is the bit that probably is going to stay how it is, because this is the chassis of the couch effectively. We've done the legs as well. So yeah, effectively next is just deforming and actually using the making the couch curves, using the vertexes to make them a little bit more cushion. And cleaned up a lot of the topology. There's still a little bit more to do, but I deleted a lot of faces that would be hidden. So for instance, on the arm cushions or the armrests, I've gone and deleted all the back faces. Same with all the seat cushions, I've gone and deleted all the back vertexes and faces. So that just optimizes a lot of memory, and then we can turn back face culling on and get a lot more performance back if this was going to be used in a game scenario. But this is primarily going to be used for a render, so we don't need to worry about it too much, but it is good practice. And again, next step we're pretty much up to is actually just deforming it and making it look like cushions. So that is pretty much all that's left for this couch, and then mirroring the back cushions. Missing a little bit more with the back here, I'm not quite happy with that. And once that's done, pretty much good to go. And get this chucked in Substance. Alright, so I've been playing around with different ways for me to actually achieve a cushion, and I've come across a pretty good way to do it. We're going to be using retopologizing to effectively make it, nice polygon quads. So effectively all I did was take the vertexes of a plane here, so we're just going to quickly select some of the vertexes in here. It doesn't really matter too much. We'll just start by selecting the outer areas. It can be a little bit time consuming, but it creates fantastic results and really gives us that cushion look, as you can see to the left on the seat over here. It looks really nice. So what we're going to do here is we're simply going to drag out a tiny bit not too much, just a nice little curve here. And then we're going to repeat the process going inward, and I'll come back to you with the results. So I've dragged out, and I'm sort of happy with the results. So now what I'm going to do, because as we can see, obviously clicking off it looks very strange as well, but also clicking on it, we can see there's also just very bad topology, like the quads aren't actually proper curves. Or sorry, there's curves in the quads, if that makes any sense, so it's actually very bad topology here. So simply all I'm going to do is select the object here. We're going to go around 1300 faces. I know there's 1000 faces on the front, and I'm just going to add 300 for the faces on the sides. And effectively we hit retopologize, ignore and continue, and we come out with this really nice looking cushion shape that is perfectly topologized. And since it's based on the front, we automatically get a really nice chamfer or corner on the edges. So that saves a lot of work having to go around the entire cushion. And just like that, now we have 2 cushions. So we're going to repeat the process for the 3rd cushion. This takes around, give or take, 3 to 5 minutes per cushion, but it's a worth it process for a very natural looking cushion. Alright, I have fully extruded and manipulated vertexes and then retopologized all of the cushions to create this nice looking couch. There's no back yet, we're going to add that last, just so I can see around the back here. Again, I've deleted some faces that won't be seen. I have, however, left the faces on the cushions because there's going to be light reflecting onto the back of the couch. It'll be a very small amount of like ambient occlusion and roughness, but it will be there, so I did want to keep these backs of the back cushions. So I'm very happy with how this turned out. I'm going to actually fix up the frame a little bit now, because as we can see with my reference, the frame is actually almost the same as the top, except it's the leather material and effectively it's stapled onto hardwood. That's the difference. So I am going to try and create that effect, maybe do some chamfers on the corners, and we'll get away with that very easily. So yeah, we're almost ready to drop this in Substance. Alright, so I've made some small changes. I've added a chamfer to the edge of the frame. I think it looks quite nice. Nice and simple, didn't want to change too much. And applying a nice leather coat should even elevate that a little bit more. Now, the next thing I did is actually removed a lot of the fat. So, a lot of the fat off the cushions. So, I effectively took them out and I just basically took off a lot of the faces that would be hidden underneath. I left some towards the front where you start to see a little bit of a curve, especially where you might get a little bit of a shadow, but for the most part I've trimmed pretty much all of that bottom off because it's not going to be seen. So now I'm pretty much going to add the back of the couch, then we're going to do our normals, and once that's done we're going to be ready to drop it in Substance. Alright, now it's time to do the UVs. I put the cushions back in. I also just did a little bit of vertex tweaking on the corners here where it sort of sets in. And other than that, add the backplate UVs and we're good to go. Alright, so I have fully completed the mesh now. I've done my UVs just before. I combined everything into one mesh. This is what the UVs look like. They look pretty tidy. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Everything looks pretty clean. The UVs actually turned out better than expected on the, what do you call it, the cushions themselves. I'm actually very happy with how they turned out with how many faces and different opposing pieces of geometry on them. I think it turned out better than expected. So yeah, that's what we came out with, and now it's painting in Substance. So I baked my textures just before, and I'm basically ready to paint. It looks pretty good. Even we can see the ambient occlusion and stuff playing a nice role in those seams. Exactly how I wanted it to, and I'm actually really happy with how this couch turned out. This is the final product, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think I really nailed the sort of leather look, adding some creases and stuff inside Substance. That sort of really elevates the detail, and that it's actually also been a used couch, most importantly. You know, generally speaking, when a couch has been around for a long time, it'll end up with some creases, especially a leather sofa. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. I managed to add a curved mat to the edges of the base here, and I think that turned out really nicely. It gives you that sort of subtle curve that really matches the flow of the whole shape. And again, I really think it was important that I individually did these 3 seat cushions here, because I really think that sort of variation is kind of important. I did end up mirroring the 2 arms, and same with the 2 side cushions here, just to save me a little bit of time in the end. But I'm very happy with how it looks. I'm especially very happy with how the corners turned out. I think that came out really nice, like how it overlaps with the arm here. And again, I think the leather turned out really nice. As you can see, there's also a bit of dirt in there. Generally speaking, there'll be a bit of build up as the couch gets used. And yeah, I'm really happy with the final product, and this sort of development explanation of how I got to the final products.